Hello, everyone, and welcome back to what is going to be a little bit more of a normal Hobo with Wood. Starting to get things back together. Got the streaming switchers back. I'm back to the regular studio. That turned out to be a nightmare. Uh, Lots and lots of things going on. So many different layers of this onion. I'm being pulled in 100 directions. First, I would like to know if there's anybody in here that is still having trouble downloading anything from the website. Uh, the website was crashed by a third party. They did some vindictive stuff this past week or so ago. Crashed the whole website when in an attempt to try and implement this new stuff. We ain't gonna go into all that, but I got all of it straightened out finally, and I know that a lot of you have been able to start downloading again. But Robert reached out to me tonight and said that he wasn't able to download. So I'm just curious if there's anyone else. I think he said it was downloading, but it was come back saying invalid or something crazy. So if anybody's having any problems with any downloads, let me know so I know what else I need to dig into. We're going to go over this design tonight, and this was a request. I think it was pretty sure it was Stacy who reached out to me and asked me about doing something like this. I said, yeah, I can do something like that. So I've been working on this, and like any of my designs, before I put them out there on the website, which this already is on the website, I will build it 2 or 3 or 4 times before I will come up with one that I feel like, okay, let's put this out there. So I'm going to show you the design, the finished design, and explain to you here, those two, they're not identical. And this one is a third version still. Now I don't have any, I do have lights in it, but I don't have batteries in it. The backside gets a little bit ugly, but it is what it is if you want to make it with LEDs. The lights, of course, are optional. You don't have to do it with lights. But this was the first one, and it had to have some changes. Made those. Then the white lights was the second version. Then this one was the last version. So this is the version that will be downloading. And I haven't tried Patreon shows. I'm no longer a member because I canceled prior to the update expiring February. Well, don't worry about that. Your coupon code is still good. I'm not going to make, and in fact, since Gene brought it up here, no one should do any annual renewals with Patreon. If you can if you're on a monthly, keep your monthly going so we can guarantee we keep you in the same payment tier and the same payment support level. But if you are on an annual subscription, do not renew your annual. But I am not until one of two things happens. One, I'm actually going to have a whole new website. I'm revamping everything. I'm going to make it look a whole lot more professional and bringing in the new support system. But if the new support system turns out to be a complete bust, we'll just go back to Patreon and I have to suck it up and, let them take their pound of flesh. But I'm hoping that by mid-January, I'll have that new system figured out and up and running. But no one's and while I'm in this transition phase, if anyone has canceled their Patreon support, their automatic renewals and stuff like that, that's strictly on the Patreon side. That's not going to affect your coupon or your ability to download from the website. All of that is handled from 2 different sources. So you will still be able to go in and use your same coupon code and download. Let's see here. What is the key to depress so you can move the scissor to multiple vectors without having to click on each one? John, I don't know. I ain't never done that. I ain't never needed to do that. Sounds kind of cool though. I would, I guess that's something that Chris might can answer for us right quick. I've never seen or needed that. I've always just click, cut, click, click, cut, click, click, cut. I've made multiple cuts, but I've never selected a bunch of things in one cut. So yeah, I'll be looking for that answer in the comments. If anybody knows, please share it with John and myself, and we'll experiment with it here in a few, because we are going to be using the scissors to do this. Chris says Patreon sucks. Said if I canceled, I would be a member till annual renewal date, but this morning it says I'm a member and I have to pay for advanced features. Well, you don't have to worry about anything, Chris, because you're not missing out on anything, because I'm not putting anything else out there on Patreon as far as any kind of, I mean, I haven't had time to do anything else. So right now you're not going to miss out on anything on Patreon, and everybody's coupon codes, like I said, are independent of that, and it still works. I just tried to download as a check coupon, not working again. You did get it straightened out, and it was working at one time, right? Because I actually had to just delete it completely and reinstall it. So I don't know why because yours is on one I've been having constant problems with. But that may all be changed come mid-January. Send me an email, Steve, after the stream or during the stream, to send me an email at hobowithwood@gmail.com to look at your coupon code again and see what's going on there. Hey. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking, Chris. I'd never seen anything else, and I think he said he had seen it in Aspire and didn't know if Lightburn had it. Yeah, I don't think Lightburn has it. I think it's just click, cut, click, cut, click, cut. And I don't see an advantage to being able to select multiples and then cut. I don't see an advantage to that. All right, so let's talk about this. I received an image. I don't know if it was a photograph or if it was an SVG or some. It was an image that I received, and said, "Hey, can you make something like that?" Yeah, I can do something like that. And this was my first attempt, and you'll see in a second how this shape came to be. But one of the deciding factors, and I've got links on the website for this download that has a link to some of these lights. There's two different options. This one is a 15 strand LED light, and then there's a 20 LED light strand. And if the design right now is set up for 15 lights, so if you get the 20 light, you just need to put 5 more holes in it, random somewhere. But you need to find out, like, this one is powered by 2 AA batteries. And so this part of the cross or somewhere had to be large enough to hide the battery pack and I just glued that on there. So that, kind of dictated this size. And I wanted to make it big enough so that, and I'm starting to tilt that forward. Now you're starting to see that battery box as I go forward, because I made that so tall. Even when you're standing over it looking down, that's hidden for quite a while until you get to a certain viewpoint. And now you can start to see it. But that just doesn't look right. It hides the battery box, but it's just too big. But it's actually the exact size that it's supposed to be. This is one half of the Christmas tree, and this is one half of the cross. Exactly. Both images split right down the middle, and that looks gargantuan. And I also went with, just a base here, and I put a saying down there, and I'm like, okay, well, now you got to be standing over top to see it. So I didn't like that. So I ended up going this route. And going this route changed another variable. Right now, this cross member is really exactly where it should be proportionally for, I think this was a 5x4 cross instead of a 3x4 cross, and I'll show you that in a minute too. But this is proportioned exactly where it should be. But whenever I did it with this one was the next one. It now looks like, to me, it was a little bit low. Pretty sure this was the next one, because I've put this sign down here. It's hidden the base of the cross and the base of the tree. So that distance from here to here, it didn't proportion. It looked like it was a little bit out misaligned. So I took, this is about 1 inch or 25 millimeters tall. So I took this, the 4 nodes, and just moved it up about 13 millimeters. And that brought that up, and it's more like a cross and less like a plus mark. And this is the version that I finally put on there. But I'm going to show you, and also the dimensions. I changed this, not only raising it, but you see how much skinnier that is compared to that one. And it's still hiding. I've still got the battery box back there, but you can start to see it a little bit quicker as you approach it. But it just looks better like that. So let me look at your questions and comments. And before we jump over here to Lightburn, get my mouse to wake up. There we go. Hey, Steve, I always watch you on TV, which filled my entire screen. All right. This is something, and I didn't see it this time, and I'm guessing you've got more somewhere. Yeah, there it is. I'm wondering why your live streams now are, if they're, I don't know who started it. I don't know if it's StreamYard or YouTube, but there's probably 2 different links in YouTube. One is for mobile viewers, for people who are watching it on their phone. And that's why you're seeing, see, there's Gigi. Hey, Gigi. That's why you're seeing it only in the center format and not. So if you click out of that stream and go over to YouTube and look, you'll probably see a second stream, and that one will be the full version. And because it's brand new, they did that last week, and that was the first time I'd seen that, and I forgot about it this week. It's a new habit that I've got to get into, to unchecking that or finding the default so that it doesn't do that. I don't like that. I don't like when people change things and force those changes on you, as opposed to introducing new options and allowing you to turn them on. And that's part of why I'm getting away from Patreon. I have no control over what they do, and they just take more and more money. In Vive Carve, you can just click and drag over vectors to trim them. I like that. You don't have to do that in Lightburn. I'm wondering why your live streams always fill the entire TV screen, but now, okay, yeah, I'm just curious now. I'm hoping they created 2 links, but you know what? There may have been an option this week that I didn't see, that there's only the one live stream, and maybe, in fact, is anybody seeing me full screen, or is everybody seeing me in the mobile profile? Is anybody seeing a full screen option? Chris says, if you hover your mouse over the bottom left corner of video, you should see a menu pop up with 2 arrows. Try clicking that. Yeah, I don't know if that's it, or if it's the actual, they actually created 2 different streams, one for mobile and one for PC or whatever. Yeah, this is, one stream has a small icon of a phone, the other is for PC. And I will get in the habit, or I will find the ability to disable that if I can, And if I can't, I'll get in the habit of only doing the full screen. Like I said, I don't like forced changes. All right. Chris says he's got it in full. They got it full. Yeah. So you've just, and a lot of folks are seeing it full. So yeah, you just clicked on, unknowingly, you clicked on the phone stream. Well, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Yeah, and there's something different here. Scott says it looks like you're framed, and that's something I looked and played with trying to figure that out. It's full screen, but it's got the frame around it. That didn't seem to ever be there before, and I could not get that disabled. Your comments are full screen, and your logo is in the upper right, but your video is in the middle. Yeah, you're on the mobile. You're on the mobile stream, and just for giggles. Oh, wrong button, stupid. Let's come over here. Let's do that. We'll do this. And I'm going to need to turn down my speakers or turn my speakers off. And go to my channel. Go to the live. And that's interesting. When I go to my channel, I don't see the option for the phone. Are you connected with your phone and casting from your phone to the TV? Because if you're connected with your phone and casting to your TV, the phone may be what selected it as the default and showing it that way. I don't know, but I will get that figured out. Because yeah, on the YouTube page, when I go to look at what we're doing right now, I only see one option, one button. But Chris said he's seen the option with the phone, but I don't see that. So there might be different things for different browsers. I don't know. But hey, we're trying to get all the bugs worked out of this again and get back into the groove. And we'll get there. We'll get there. Y'all be patient with me. Go back to Lightburn. There we are. All right. Lyle says, I like this. I can keep up with the conversation now. So there you go. Yeah, and I only use the computer and I see only phone version. See, I'm on the computer and I don't see the phone version. But hopefully I'll get that straight next week. It won't even be an option. All right. So let's jump over here to Lightburn. And if you've already downloaded this and you haven't downloaded in the last 3 or 4 hours, you might go download it again because it has been updated. I put the second version out there and then made some more changes. And now the third version is what's online. I've got to take the coat off. Dad keeps it like a sauna in here. All right. Now let's go over here. All right. And let's take where, there it is. Can I turn that off? Yep, there we go. Bye-bye. There's nobody else here, so I'll leave that off. All right, now, this, as you can see, I've got cut out of a single 300 by 300 piece of material. Real simple. You got 2 pieces of the base, and I may have even screwed up, and the last upload I did might have my logo on it. If it did, just delete it off there, and you're good to go. But you've got the small piece. I put my logo on there, sand it all down, and then obviously glue this to the other side. And then the sign goes in the long piece in the front, and the tree goes in here. One other thing that I did different on this one You notice I got a little tick right down here. Well, that tick goes up here and matches up with where that star is at. Now, on some of the earlier versions, I actually engraved just a demarcation line right down through there. And then I used some really good painter's tape and lined that up with the line, and then painted my tree, and then unmasked the other part, and then put a lacquer finish on everything. The problem with doing that is no matter how good you are with that tape, it ain't going to line up perfect every time. And then you can end up with a painted tree and a demarcation line and then the cross. So I decided not to engrave it all the way up. You need 2 points in order to line your tape up and keep it in a straight line. And what I did was, if I come down here to this line and I go to my node editor and I come up here and I click right there and just tell it to extend. Is it extend? What is the command there? Yeah, extend line. E should make that go all the way up, and E ain't working. I've been noticing that a lot lately. You should be able to hover over that node and hit the letter E and make that line shoot straight up as far as it'll go until it intersects something new. But E is not working, so we'll use the up arrow movement. And if I move that all the way up until I cross over, you'll see that it lines up with the cross, or where the star and the cross meet. But I don't need that line all the way up. I've got a point. That point where that corner right there is where one piece of the tape starts. And then I'll put just a little piece down here at the bottom to where I know the other end of the tape needs to line up. And I keep it actually below the slot or the tab, so that even that is hidden whenever I go to glue it up. It's behind the sign too, but the sign is optional. You may not even want to put that on there, but you like the idea of just the symbolism. So that's why I keep it down below. It's either going to be hidden by the sign or inside the slot. And just looking for question, comment, question. I we'll discuss that at the end if there's time. I want to try and get back into showing you and help teach you guys lasers. Questions you put up show across whole screen. You are not small like YouTube Shorts, but your logo in the corner forces your screen smaller. No, well, I don't know. If I turn that logo off, the screen don't change. Let's see. Let's see. Style. No. Media assets. Yeah, there we go. And I don't want that. Don't want that. Remove. I don't even see an option to remove. We'll delete it. See if it goes away. Delete the logo. Delete. Yeah. So now, I take my logo away, but it's still got that frame going on. They've made some improvements. They've made things better. Jack says watching on phone and computer, and they're all looking right for him. When I went to YouTube on my TV, I only have a phone view, but I'm still learning. Well, see, I don't even have a phone view on my computer. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't see the mobile option either. Full screen. Okay. Max resolution is 720 when it used to be 1080. Well, they made some, like I said, I actually lost the entire account to StreamYard. I had to go buy a whole new account and get everything set up again. And there are new features in here that I don't care for. All right. So, you're more vivid with the black frame. Well, I'm sorry. I hate that. Now that I know that, well, it's a good thing that we're not in 1080 then, huh? All right, so back over here. So that's the reason that little tick's there is I've got a place to line up my tape at the bottom, and I've got a corner up here to line up my tape up there. You're going to want to use some really good painter's tape that's going to seal real well so you don't have any bleed under the tape. So you get a nice, crisp, straight line up through there. And this piece right here, this base, the very lower base, the bottom, let me get out of my note editing. There we go. This piece can and could fit perfectly hard or vertical like that and cut out, but I chose not to do that. I chose to rotate that just ever so slightly. And the whole reason that I did that was so that the grains, the wood grains between the bottom tier and the top tier of the base are running slightly different from each other. Now, I elected to paint mine. You may not. I've painted mine red and white like Christmas. And even though it's painted, I only did one coat. So you can see all the wood grain. And you can, when I'm sitting here looking, you got, it gives it more character instead of having all the grain running together. So that's just another little thing that I think about whenever I'm putting my designs together. And right now I've got that selected. If I use my greater than button, it'll rotate it 90 degrees. If I use shift and greater than, it rotates it 45. If I use control and greater than, I think it's, I don't know if it's 10 or 12, but I did it twice. So I don't know if that's, maybe it was 22 and a half and now it's 45. I don't know. But there's where I've got it because it still fits in there. And it gives me the most contrast with the wood grains between the two pieces. All right. Now that's the reason for why I've done what I've done. But how did I create this image? Did I need to go out and get any clip art from anywhere? Not really. I have a Christmas tree that I used, but I'm going to show, and I've already talked to you guys about heartsvg.com, and they have some free images there that you can download, and they've probably got some free Christmas trees in there too. But I'm going to show you how easy this is to do. You don't need anything except what tools you have in Lightburn. If I want to make a cross, I have two different versions of a cross when I create my cross. I have what I refer to as my 4x3 cross, and then a 5x4, I think it is. Crosses. There we go. Yeah, I got a 4-3 template and a 5-4 template. Now I've got those saved. And you can see the difference there. See how broad that is. And then that one's, this one, come on, give me a preview. There we go. That one's a little skinnier. I'm going to show you how to make those without, and once you make them, if you save them, you've got them. You don't have to just constantly recreate them. Select your square, your rectangle tool, hold your shift button and draw out a perfect square. Doesn't matter what size. Doesn't matter at all. Just make sure it's a perfect square. I'm going to put this in line mode with Alt-Shift-W. I'm in wireframe mode. I'm going to duplicate that, Control-D, duplicate it, just so that you know I'm using the exact same size squares to create these two different crosses I'm going to make. I'm moving this out of the way, just using my arrow key. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to do my 4x3 template. And I will come down to my grid array and do 3 across and 4 rows. Do not group the results and say, okay. I've got no spacing X or Y. Say, okay. Then I'll just come up here and grab these two, delete them, grab these two, delete them, grab that one, and then select everything and hit the weld. And there's my 4x3 template. Now, using the exact same cross, This one's going to be a little different. I'm going to still use my grid array, and I'm going to do 5x4. Same thing. Let's see. There we go. Where I've got no spacing X and Y. And say OK. Now this time I'm going to grab these two sets of 3 and delete that. Delete one over here. Delete one of those and delete those 2. Now this one, I'm going to grab all 4 of them and I'm going to duplicate them. Control D, duplicate. Now that they're duplicated, I'm going to go ahead and group that duplication and grab it right here in that center and then drag it down to where it pops right there. That snapped right into center. Now I can delete that and delete those, select everything and weld it. And now I've got a slightly skinnier cross. And I can shrink that down. And actually, what is that? That's, in fact, let's keep the aspect ratio locked and we'll tell that to go to 8 inches and make this one 8 inches so you can really see the difference between those. But for me, and this is my opinion, those ratios give a really good representation of what I think that the cross should look like with its position of its horizontal bar. Now, I started with a cross like that and then just took a half of it and a half of a tree. And that very first time I did, I got that right there. And that was where that thing was just huge. So I had to make some changes to it. I had to keep altering it, shrinking it, moving it up to accommodate the sign, as I was talking about earlier. But let's get the actual shape together. So I went with this cross, I'm pretty sure, because I needed that wider body, I thought, in order to hide all the battery pack. But depending on what batteries or what lights you go with, ideally what you should do is take a measurement of your battery pack and then I would give yourself at least 1/4 of an inch above and below, so an extra ½ inch on this to determine what the height needs to be of that horizontal piece of the cross. Start with that. In fact, this one is measuring. My battery's going dead in my micrometers. I'm got to get a new battery. So this is measuring 30 mil. So I'm gonna come over here and look at my rule. And if I look at that line right now, that's saying it's 2 inches. Let's put it in metric. So there's 50 mil. And I said 30, and I want to give it another 13. So around 43 to 45 mil is what that needs to be in order to hide that piece. What does this one measure out to be? That one's 40.64. So there are a couple of things to consider. We need to keep in mind how big that bar needs to be to keep our battery pack hidden. But also, if we go to this other cross, and I'm going to make this a little larger to get this up to that horizontal crossbar at about 43 mil. Now I'm going to be increasing my height. Well, if you do that, that's fine, as long as you can keep it all within your 12 by 12 or 300 by 300 mil piece. And let's see here. What would it say here? I came across a standard for crosses. I use a 1-to-3 ratio, which looks closely like your 4-to-5. And yeah. Maybe make the base of the cross into a box. You could do that too. You could definitely do that. There's a whole lot of different ways to approach it. And doing it with a boxed base and hiding the battery pack there, it would look good. It would help add additional weight to the base to keep it from wanting to be top heavy. but you got to be able to access it. You got to be able to get there and flip that switch on or off. So, if you know, just keep that in mind if you're going to hide your box. All right, now, I'm not sure what the best thing about living in Switzerland is, but the flag is a big plus. All right, so back over here. So I'm going to go with this one in this demonstration. And I said I want to get that to about 43 mil right there. So I'm going to increase this we're going to try and increase it by 10%. So aspect ratio locked, and I'm going to increase this by 110%. There we go. And now look at that and see, does that give me 43? Go to metric. That's 44, 45. That works. And say, okay. And I'm going to get rid of this one. Now, this is not what I did, but I want to show you how easy it is to create a Christmas tree if you didn't have access to, if you didn't want, I'm 99% sure if you go to hardsvg.com, you'll find free Christmas trees. But if you didn't want to go through all that and you're not going to copy stuff and steal other people's stuff and you just want to create your own, or maybe you want to do something funky. Maybe you want to create a tree that looks something like it's out of, Whoville, and, it's got all a bunch of curly pieces and stuff all over it. Well, that's not hard to do. Let's grab our rectangle tool again and come out here, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle that's approximately the same size as that cross, height-wise. And then I'm going to come in here to actually, I got to turn it into a shape. So right click and convert it to a path rather. It's a shape now, and I'm going to convert it to a path so I can see my nodes. And actually that can be the top, that can be the, all right. So I'm going to drag this over here. And then I'm going to come down here and I'll insert a node and drag it up here, insert a node and drag it out here. And right now I'm not even trying to make this look pretty. I'm just kind of getting some placement, some nodes in here. Just inserting letter I to insert a node, 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 rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And we'll leave that one there. Letter I, bring this over here, and bring this one over here somewhere. Right now, I'm not trying to make this pretty. But now you're starting to get the shape of the basic tree there. And you're like, okay, now I can start messing with the branches and getting it better alignment, get stuff in better position. And if you want to start adding some curves to it, all you got to do is grab the line and start curving it. You don't have to insert anything. You just start dragging it and changing the arc and pulling that up or down. And you can play with this and do whatever you want to do and make it whatever shape you want. And then if you're like, oh, I like that, but I want to grab all that and pull them all out, we'll grab all three of those nodes and pull them out here. And then unclick or deselect them and bring that up here. And up here, if you wanted to have a star on it, and I have to keep reminding myself, I don't have to go to my art library and grab my star anymore. I created a star a long time ago because I'm always using stars, but now you have the star feature in the shapes. So come over here to your rectangle tool and click and hold and come down here to your star. And there's a star. Now I can come right up here and draw out a perfect star. There we go. holding shift and control to draw it out from the center. And I can put that where I want it to be there. And then, in fact, actually, I need to have that at about there. We'll go with that. I don't know. And then weld those together. And then you don't need that half over here. Well, all you got to do is say, okay, go back to your nodes. Well, I just don't need those. Select them all and hit the letter D. And now you've got that. And if I wanted to make that more of a star, just insert a letter I right there and insert an I right here or a node and bring that back over here, wherever it needs to be. You can change that around, move it around to get it the shape that it should be. In fact, that should be about, it should be there or close to it. But I didn't do that. I have a tree, and you can get a tree. You can go to the nursery and buy one, or go download one on svgheart.com. And now you've seen how easy you can play with the nodes and move them around. You create your own. But I'm going to go to my Christmas trees, and I'm going to grab this first one, bring it in here. And now I've set this cross at the height that it needed to be to hide my battery box. So I'm looking at that, and it's 8.8 inches. So I'm going to grab this tree with the aspect ratio locked and tell it to be 8.8 inches. Now that is going to be the same height as my cross. But I don't need all this fancy stuff going on inside of here. So I'm going to ungroup everything. And then I'm going to select everything without getting the outer perimeter and delete it. So now I've got just the silhouette of the tree. Now I can, there are multiple, and I haven't said it in a long time because I haven't been here in a long time. Seems like forever. There's always another way. There's multiple ways to do things in Lightburn. We want to get half of the tree and we want to get half of the cross. You can use a rectangle as a cookie cutter to cut out half of it, or you can use node editor to be able to go in and just select all the nodes you don't want. And we're going to do it a couple different ways here. So if I want half of this tree, I could just come in here with my pencil tool and come up here to the top of that star, hold my shift button and draw a straight line down through there like that. So now I know I've got it in the center. And then select my tree and go into the node editing and just select everything to the right of that line and hit the letter D for delete. Come down here and get all of those, letter D up. And then I need, if I want to keep that in a straight line, I need to have a node on that line, or I can bring that node just right there, drag it to that line, and then delete that guy, letter D. And now get rid of the line, and I've got half of the Christmas tree. Another way you can do it, grab your rectangle tool and just come up here, and you can draw a square or rectangle, don't matter. As long as it's larger than your cross. And then you should be able to use your snapping tools to grab that corner and come down here and snap it to this right there. That's the center. When you get that little circle with your cursor, that's the center. So now you can, if you want to, you can arrow it up a little bit so you can see that it's fully engulfing half of that cross. Select your cross, hold shift and select your rectangle, and use your cut shapes tool, Alt Shift C or cut shapes, Alt Shift C or cut shapes. And then the piece that was inside your rectangle is staying. This is what was cut away, and you can just hit the delete button. And that gave you half of a cross and half of a tree. Grab both of those and put them on the same plane, Alt Shift H to bring them together. And then you could weld them together. And there's a little bit of funkiness going on there. We can fix that with the node editor. Select that shape, go to nodes, and select those and letter D to delete. There we go. So it's that easy to make half of a Christmas tree and half of a cross. Now, depending on how you lay out your design, if you're going to put the sign at the bottom, then I think you're going to want to raise that horizontal member of the cross about 13 mil to keep that aspect ratio looking for the cross. Because with that sign at the bottom covering up part of that cross, it brings that horizontal member down and it starts to look like a plus mark instead of a cross. So how do you do that if that's what you're going to do? Well, come in here to your settings, your gears, go to your units and grids, go to your, I'm in or standard, or imperial. Let's go over to metric. There we go. Metric, gears, units and grids. Come over here to my arrow movement, and I'm going to tell it 13 mil, which is about half of an inch, and say, okay. Now that I've got that set, I can come back over here, go to my node editor, and just select all 4 of those nodes and use my arrow up one time. And that just moved that entire member up, keeping everything horizontal in position, and just moved it up 13 mil. Didn't have to go in and redesign anything. Just an easy fix. Then if you determine that, and because I made this change too, this was the second version. I think I had moved it up on this one, but I didn't like how long it was out here. Because if we look at these two, you can, if I put them, you can see how much shorter the one is than the other. So I did the same thing. And I'm just showing you this because if you put together a design and you do like I did, it's like, oh, that one's way too fat, way too big. You don't have to go in and start from scratch. Use your node editor, move things around. And I see your question there, 3 dogs. I'll get to you in a second. Oop, wrong button twice. So now if I want to shorten this, I just grab the 2 outside and move them in 13 mil or 10 mil, whatever you want to move them in. You don't have to start over. You can start, just manipulate your nodes to reposition, change the width, height, and it's easy peasy. Oh, there's Miss Stacy. Sorry I'm late. I was playing Mexican Train. Oh, you know what? I ain't played a good game of dominoes in a long time. I hope you had fun. And when we're going over, and I told them this was, I'm pretty sure, Stacy, weren't you the one that asked for this? I've been giving you credit for it if you weren't. What about doing a solid back layer and having 2 separate halves on one that separate layer to make painting the Christmas tree easier? What about doing a solid back layer and having 2? Well, I guess you could. Now I understand what you're talking about. It's not, that's not really making it. You're not, the painting's easier, but you're not creating any less work for yourself because now you're having to glue up, and then plus you're going to have it, you'll see that line there. Will it work? Yep. You know why? Because there's always another way. Ain't nothing wrong with doing it that way. But having the, you've got a point where the star meets the cross. That's the very center. Done. Top center is where that comes together. You put a line at the bottom that lines up with that. Now you got, tape and spray, put your tape off, done. It's really pretty easy. And yeah, Stacy says that this was her request. I don't know where she's seen it from initially, but she was the one that inspired the idea or asked for it. So we've taken 2 halves of a tree and a cross, showed you how to manipulate those. Now you need to have an additional depth here for your slot. You need to put a tab on here. So however long that is, let's move my rule. Here we go. And oh, there's another node right there. That's why it breaks that up. When you see your rule break up your line like this, where you've got a purple line going from here to here and it stops and it starts again, that's because there's a node right there. And that's not giving you your total length of your piece. So if you want to make sure and you don't want to have to do any math, just go into Node Editor and select that node and letter D to delete it. And then you can go back to your rule and measure that. Now you get your full length. And it's 54 millimeters. So if you wanted to do a 2.8 millimeter tab, then you would say aspect ratio unlocked and 54 mil and 2.8. And then you're going to drag that corner right there to that corner. And now weld those together. Oh, that didn't work. It didn't like where that was positioned. Even though I put it on the corner, it didn't quite get there. So I'm going back to where they're separate. And now what I'll do, I know that from that corner down to here is 2.8 millimeters. So I'm not going to move this line, and I'm not going to move this up as a whole piece, because I move the whole thing up, then I've changed the size of my tab. But if I grab this line right here and just bring it up to where it overlaps for sure, like that, and now weld it, I'm good. My height's right. I've got enough room there for that. Now, for my holes, I measured with my micrometer the size of those LED lights. If you do not use, in fact, if you add any kerf when you're cutting out this piece so that all the slots fit nice and tight, it's going to affect your holes when you cut those out as well. So you have to think about that. And if you do an added kerf, then maybe you put the holes on another layer that doesn't have kerf on it. So they all cut out exactly the size of your measurement for your light, your LED to pop in there. And to create those, and for the placement, let's grab a toolbar and bring it right over here and snap it right there to that corner. And then I'm going to grab my circle or ellipse tool, hold shift, draw out a perfect circle. And for this demonstration purposes, we're just going to say it was 3 mil. And then I needed 15 of them. So I just placed that one right there. Control D, duplicate it, 2, duplicate it, 3, duplicate it, 4, duplicate it, 5. And I don't want to get a zigzag, so I'll get 15 on them, and then we'll play with it. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I just duplicated it a whole bunch of times sitting at one spot. And now I'll just grab one and bring it around. And then I'll work on placement once I get them all distributed. And I'm going to show you a neat trick here too. Once I get all these out there, all right, now I just did a whole bunch of duplications, and I think I did 15, but I'm not sure. I didn't take my shoes off, so I could only count to 10 real easy. So to know how many of those are without going 1, 2, 3, 4, all you got to do is just select only the circles. Nothing. You don't want to select the entire thing. Select just the circles, dragging from right or from left to right, and look right down here. It tells you 15 objects. So if I had made one extra duplicate, then I would know, oops, I had 16 circles in there. That's not what I needed. So now that I've got the right number on there, I can grab those and move them around wherever I feel like they need to be. And we'll put one on out here and bring that down here. And you want to be careful. You don't want to get too close to the edge, because when you start inserting your LEDs, if you've got a really good tight fit, if you ain't careful, you could break something. So, but you just put them around wherever you want them to be. Now, you cut that out, you do your painting, and you're ready to insert your lights. Something I learned with these strands. This is a 5-foot strand. I think total length is 6 feet, and it's 5 feet of lights. And all of that gets bunched up behind your cross, or behind the tree. And what I thought I was going to do when I got with this one, and you can see how proud those are, how high that all sticks off out there. I thought on this one I'd get slick and try and get it a little bit closer to the back of it by not having the lights feed from hole to hole to hole to hole. I started up there, and then I jumped down here to take up all that slack, and then jump down here, and back and forth to try and make them as tight as possible. But you don't want to do that. And here's why. You see these lights are on, and you see I got those in twinkle mode, and that's a really nice pattern. It looks good. It's a very random twinkle. Well, this one, because I jumped around with the placement of the lights, if I switch this to twinkle, 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 little star, there we go. I inadvertently got them grouped, so the twinkle pattern does not look good. So when you're putting your lights in, you want to go from in sequence with your holes, so that if you do that, it looks good. And I also made another mistake in this one. I didn't do what I just showed you. I didn't check to make sure I had 15 holes. So there's an extra light back there, because I only had 14 holes in this one. So check, double check, and double check. But with this just lit up, it's fine. And I will take my handheld battery operated drill and just drill an extra hole in there and pull that one in, so I can finish it. But you don't want to do that. You don't want to let your laser do the work. All right. So we've got the upright piece here. Need to have the base and a stand, and those are simple. But what size are they going to be? Well, I come over here to my ellipse tool, and I come here to the center, and I'm missing my mark. I didn't put a mark on this one yet. Well, God bless you, and thank you, 3 dogs. Let's see here. Jer says, just put painter's tape down and score it so it only cuts tape and peel half the tree off Christmas tree. Guys, you some of you probably think I have a hard time. I can read. I'm not illiterate. I can read, but I have my strokes make it difficult for me to read and comprehend what I'm reading. Just put a painter's tape down and score it so it only cuts tape. And okay. So you're saying and again, ain't nothing wrong with that, Jared. That will work. That will work but you're going to waste a lot of tape doing that. You're wasting, I understand. Well, and actually you wouldn't have to take the whole thing up if you know that you were taping, and had at least the center part and everything else covered. But I'm telling you, it's really not that difficult, to do what we're getting ready to do here. Let's turn Jer off. let's get my pencil tool. If I come right here, actually, I don't even need my pencil tool. I can use my a guideline. Come over here and grab a guideline and put it right there in the corner. And now I can come down here with the pencil tool and just put a little straight line from there to there. I didn't do it. From there to there. There we go. And then get rid of that, and then just use that point and that point for your tape, and you're good. I put a single piece of tape all the way down there, and then two little short pieces right here and here, and I had no problem. All right, so all of that is going to be on a cut layer anyway, except for that. That would be an engrave, like that. There we go. Now, how did I determine my base size? Using my ellipse tool, I come down here to that center point, and I hold my control button, not my shift button, but my control button, to start drawing out an ellipse. And I'm going to try and zoom out. There we go. I need to be able to see the whole thing, because and in fact, I'm going to go as big as I want it to be. I'm looking there. I'm like, okay, that's going to take it a little bit beyond the edge of the tree and the top of the edge of that cross. So I'm saying, okay, that's about as wide as it needs to be from left to right. And then I can say, okay, well, how big, how high, or what other dimension do I want that to be? So I'm going to go right about there. So that's the lower tier. And now I'll come in here and just do an inward an inward offset. Select that and do an inward offset of however much I want it to be. And I want to do round. All right. See, that's something else that's funky here. This is an ellipse. There's no corners on here. Those are all curves. Those are all arcs. But for whatever reason, Lightburn's wanting to put some points on there. They're not giving us full arcs. So don't want to do an offset this time. Cancel that. And I don't recall Lightburn always doing that. But all I got to do now, I can do Control D, duplicate that piece. And then hold my shift button and scroll that down. Is that going to, oh, there we go. Control shift. And that brings it down and keeps everything with arcs. And I'm eyeballing this, and even shrink it down like that. This distance and this distance is equal, but from here to here, that's further than it is up there. So I'm just going to hold Control and draw out the ends, eyeballing it. I'm just eyeballing it until, like, okay, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty uniform all the way around there. So that'll work. So there's two layers. So grab the bottom layer, bring it over here out the way. The top layer is the one that's going to have the slots in it. And get my rectangle tool, there you go, and come down here holding Control to draw out from the center. About like so. Just eyeballing it, and then I'm going to tell it to unlock my aspect ratio. So I've got my length, what I want it to be. Tell it I want it to be an inch taller, 25.4 mil. And then if I bring that up to there's how that would work with that tree. The lowest bough of the tree is still going to be above that sign. And let's put some radiuses on that. I'm doing 5 mil radius. There. And then I'm going to just draw out a random rectangle. It needs to be 3 mil for when I'm designing. I will set to the proper dimensions whenever I go to cut it out, whatever actual material is. Snap that into place. Now, before I weld that, I'm going to duplicate it and hold shift. And I'm going to send that to the center of this. That's not where it's going to be, but that's where I'm going to put it for right now. And grab those two and weld those two together. So now I've got my sign for the base. I've got my slot that's going to fit into. Now I need a slot for this to fit into. And if I grab my ruler and measure that, it's 54 mil. So this one is going to be Control D, duplicate it, move it up, and tell it 54 mil. So now I'll grab those two and group them and tell it to go to the center. And now that's placed for the sign to sit there. The tree sits in there. And those are all the components. That's it. We've just designed the entire thing. It ain't hard. It's very, very simple to do. And it is available on hobowithwood.com. If you don't want to go through all those steps, and there weren't that many because we just did that in a little less than an hour because we talked for a while before we started. Easy peasy, simple to do. And you could do this if you have other shapes that you're wanting to, create a yin and yang of something. You just take half of one and half of the other, weld those together, and off you go, off to the races. Something else that I got done this week, and I'll have this design up soon on the website. I got to tweak the box just a little bit because like I said, I'll build stuff 3 or 4 times before I send it to you guys or make it available to you guys. This is a Christmas present, and this person is a nurse. And so I've done a stethoscope, or however you say that, stethoscope, that thing you listen to your heart and your lungs with the name in it. And I did a little curly cues to, just make it look good. And then on the box, I've got your heartbeat and then that same stethoscope again with the heartbeat in the middle instead of the name. And the heartbeat runs all the way around, or actually it's on the 2 corners with that in the middle. And it holds 4 slate coasters with little rubber feet on them. Perfect fit. Looks really, really nice. And I'm going to have, and what I did also, I've got my logo on the bottom, but should they have the entire set out and everybody's there, I've got the same logo in the bottom as well. But I'll have the box on the website before we go live next time, before we're live again. All right. So any questions or comments or complaints or suggestions about what we've done here? And if not, any questions? Someone asked earlier about my RV situation. We can talk about that. But also, before I do that, the website. I hadn't seen Robert. Robert, if you're in here, speak up. I was asking if anybody. Robert sent me an email, said that when he tried to download files, it came back invalid. I've never heard that before. Has anybody else seen something that says invalid? He had an order of a whole bunch of Rusty, you are psychic. You are psycho, my friend, because that's exactly what I was doing. All right, got that. Got to bring that over here, Go to hobowithwood.com. And this is going to be changing. Okay, Three dogs. That's Robert. Okay. Robert, are you still getting invalid? No one else has said anything about that. I've not heard. There was Steven said his coupon wasn't working, but I haven't heard of an invalid situation before. But let's go back over here to the website. This is what the website looks like right now. And if we go to the tree cross and you come down in here and bing, 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 bing. Here are two different options. These are the lights that I actually used that had the 15 LED lights. And I looked at them the other day. If I click on that and look, yep, see, they're already sold out. And if you look, these were actually a three pack of two. So there was 6 lights in that LED. These were single packs. And if you look at that, see it multicolored and the LED bright, bright, bright. And then we go back over here. You see it's the same package. Well, these are the white lights instead of the colored lights. But they're sold out of them right now. They don't have any. So I went back and found these. They're a 20 count mini LED strand. And it says arrives before Christmas. So I don't know what that means, how quick they'll be here, but and maybe this obviously is something you could put out for a Christmas decoration. It can be there year round. But there are two different links on the website to these LEDs that will work with this design. Keep in mind that this option is 20 count. So you'll need to add 5 additional holes for your 5 extra lights. Jonathan says his coupon's not working either. All right. Anybody who's got coupons that are, for whatever reason, are not working, send me an email directly to hobowithwood@gmail.com. hobowithwood@gmail.com. Send me an email that says, inoperative password, and I'll look in to see what's going on. Let's see here. Yeah, because Chris says his download worked for him, no problem. And the majority of people are not having issues. Granddaughter asked how I met you in my living room. I showed her my phone. See, granddaughter asked how I met you in my living room, and I showed her my phone. I'll check about the download issue. My Princess Luna is sleeping on my lap. She's like 80 pounds. Yeah. All right. Yeah, your coupon worked. Good. All right. No, you got here just in time, Greg. We're just getting started. No, we just finished. I went step by step on how to create this, the hurdles you have to look out for, adjustments you can make. You can always watch the replay. And now Jonathan says, all right, first Jonathan said my coupon wasn't working. Now he says, actually, my coupon just worked. It was most likely a loose nut between my chair and keyboard. It was a cockpit error. A keyboard error. Yes, sir. And you have to use your email that is associated with your Patreon account. That's another issue that folks run into. Well, my email's not working. Well, you've got 15 emails and you used abc@gmail.com to sign up on Patreon. And then when you go over to Hobo with Wood, your account is set up with xyz@gmail.com. And you try to use your coupon for ABC and it won't work with XYZ. You have to be logged in with the same email that you was set up with on Patreon. That is the biggest problem that everybody does. Everybody uses the wrong one, the wrong email. Yes, Pepcat. Problem exists between keyboard and a chair. So We got a few minutes here because I'm going to try and keep this limited to 90. In fact, let me show you what the the website potentially going to look like, or going to start looking like. So there's the old one. Let's go over here. Got a whole bunch of order notifications from you guys just in the past 3 minutes. So a lot of you guys are working. But let's go. Where, oh, where are you tonight? I will search. I will search the world over. No, that was Scott. There we go. I just had. There we go. Done and done and done. All right. So there's that and there's that. All right. So here we go. All right. Now, the website that has been up for the last 3 years, I did it. I did it. I'm solely responsible for it. I did it. And that's why it looks like a 3-year-old did it, because I did it. Robert, I will talk about that before I get off here. But here is what the website looks like that you're all familiar with. It's very basic and kind of bland. And because I'm going to be hopefully using that new support platform, and everything is going to be integrated into the website. All of the videos that I share with the supporters, I'm probably still going to refer to you guys as patrons, just not on Patreon. You're not Patreon patrons, but you're patrons. You're patrons of Hobo with Wood. You're a patron of the arts. So I'm going to be bringing in the ability to see those vlogs, those video uploads and stuff. That'll all be on the one website. So the new website, instead of having this, it's going to look something more like this. You'll have the Hobo with Wood. You're going to need to log in. Now, you're not going to have to. No one's going to be required to be a financial supporter to go into the website. There'll be a free membership, just like there is now. But you have to create an account to buy. And the reason you want to have an account, and the reason that you should put in your accurate information, is so that you can always log back into the same place every time. And if you've downloaded a file, especially if you're paying for it, and especially if you're paying full price for it, if you're paying $3.95 or something for a file, and you download it, and you've put it in your smart drive or your external drive, or you've got it just on your laptop, and then your laptop crashes and you've lost your files, well, as long as the website is up and running and you have created an account and you logged into your account when you download, you have unlimited access to those files. You can log back in and log in with your account and go over there and pull that file in and download it again and download it again and download it again. I do not recommend that you depend on my site, because if you bought $500 worth of files and then my site crashes like it did this month and you can't access it and you've got a job you need to get done and you really needed that, you need to have the files on your external drive or your equipment, knowing that you can always go back and download them again as often as you need to. So the new site, you'll have the option to create a free account and log in and pay regular retail for the digital files. But you will not have access to the videos and the video logs and anything else that I'm sharing just with the paying patrons. Those will still be in the gold, silver, and bronze tier, and you'll log in. And if you're a paying supporter, you'll see more than the non-paying supporters. But this just looks a lot cleaner and a lot nicer and a lot more professional than this. And then you come on down, and I'm not sure how I'm going to set up. Obviously, if you're not a paying supporter, you're not going to see the videos, but it's going to be a lot neater and a lot cleaner. So I'm working on that. I got to get that fully functional. then implement the whole new support part. And I got a lot to do, a whole lot. And um, let's see here. Uh, there have been several of you that ask about the RV. And if there's anybody who's new to this and the first time here, I'm Hobo with Wood. Oops. And the reason I call myself Hobo is because I live in an RV, and I did live a hobo lifestyle for a long time, and I miss it. And I plan to go back to that. But I had an accident with my RV and I flooded the RV. The RV was total lost, and I am now currently without a residence. I am living in a biohazard. It is pitiful. The electrical system works sometimes it don't. And it's supposed to be 15 degrees Fahrenheit in the next 24 hours or so. So I'll be sleeping in this chair on that night. I ain't even going to try to get in there and hope that it works then, because sometimes the heat works, sometimes it don't. But I am fully insured. The insurance is taking care of me. I will be getting my settlement from the insurance on Tuesday. I spent the better part of this week looking for a new RV, and I found one that I really, really, really wanted. And I'm just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, which is on the eastern seaboard of North America for those who are not here in the US. But I'm in the very center of the state of North Carolina at the North and South Carolina state line. And the RV that I really, really wanted, and it's the only one in the country, and it's the last one of its kind. There will be no more of these. You cannot get it if you wanted to. You can't even order it now if you wanted to. Is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And that's 17 hours from here, one way. So if I end up going that route, Tuesday, I've got a doctor's appointment with my father I've got to take him to, which take me through the better half of the day. And then if things go well, and that's the way I'm going, if I'm driving to Dallas-Fort Worth, I'll leave Tuesday midday, drive for 10 hours, sleep in Mississippi somewhere, get up and drive the western way into Dallas-Fort Worth, buy the camper, spend 2 or 3 nights in Dallas-Fort Worth area to make sure there's no major flaws with the RV, and then 2 days of driving back. So I'll have an entire week lost that I'll get none of this stuff that I need to get done. So I've been looking for other alternatives here. That's the one I want. But it's just not practical. Maybe it's just right now I don't have the time to do all that stuff. And so I'm going to look tomorrow, and this is crazy. I 2 days ago, I spent the entire day driving. I drove from here practically to the coast of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and back, looking at different RVs in between here and there. And I was about to give up on it. And my uncle said, you know what? He said, there's a whole lot of RVs on the Facebook Marketplace. You should probably go look on the Facebook Marketplace. I've never had good luck on the Facebook Marketplace, but I said, okay, I'll go look. And I went and looked. It was a really nice one on there. And it listed in my uncle's hometown, which is the next county up. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Well, I contacted them. And this was the day I had just spent the entire day driving, practically 10 hours of driving, looking at RVs. When I got back home, I found that, contacted them. They contacted me and said, yeah, while we're up here, we've got it in storage. I said, where's it at? And he told me, well, it's in storage on Union Road. I said, oh, where's it at in storage? And he told me that unit that I'm going to look at tomorrow that I may like enough to purchase is 2 miles away from me. An entire day of driving, expense, fuel, headaches, stressing. And I find a very, very nice unit that's just down the street. So that's why I say, and my uncle is the first one that he's the one that tells me all the time. He says, "Man, you got a gold horseshoe stuck so far up your butt, it ain't even funny." He said you could. He told me, he said you could fall in a pile of horse manure and come out with a gold horseshoe. You could find a golden nugget in a pigsty. And he's the one that suggested go on Marketplace and look, and I did, and right there it is, right down the street. So don't know, don't know. Uh, so that's still ongoing. I haven't made any decisions yet. And then here's an interesting sidebar. I've got the RV that Dad was living in. It's not livable. It's in major need of repair. And I think, did I see? I see my neighbor in here. Is he still in here? Uh, do 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 do. Forgive me. I was looking to see. If do. Looking. I don't know if you're still in here or not. But it's parked out front, and it's in pretty bad shape. It needs all new awnings. It needs all new furniture. It needs new cabinetry. It needs new air conditionings on the rooftop. It needs a whole lot of work. And my unit is total lost because the floor is done. And the only way to fix it is they have to take the body off the frame and then replace the floor and all the electrical. And they're like, we're never going to do that. Well, anything that's above the floor, anything that doesn't come in contact with the floor, it's actually okay. All the cabinetry around the top is good. I got through 3 rooftop ACs. They're all good. The tires and wheels are all good. A lot of good stuff in that unit. And they informed me yesterday or day before that because I was going to leave that unit sitting there until I got all my stuff transferred out of that one and into the new one, that they could only write me a settlement for the owner retention amount. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? It'd just be the amount we'd pay you if you were keeping your old one. And I said, that's an option? I didn't even know that was an option. They said, yeah, if you want to keep your old one, you can keep it, but we're going to take your title and mark it as salvaged and send you back a new title with it being totaled. I get to keep the old one. I can take and harvest all of that good stuff off of it and rebuild the one out front. But I don't have time. I don't have time to do all that. But it'd be a real cheap way to do it if I had time. I just need more hours. I need more me. So, let's see here. Jonathan says that's 4 hours north of me here in Austin. Yeah, and it's not actually in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's Alvarado, so it's a little closer. It's south of Dallas-Fort Worth. I think I'm saying that right. Alvarado, Texas. It's the mobile, motor home specialist superstore, or motor home specialist RV.com, MHSRV.com in Alvarado, Texas. I think that's right. He will not. Is he able to? Does he? Should he? Will he? So sister's stepping up for that. I wished he would. I wished we could do that. I wished he'd this newer, or this RV I'm going to look at 2 miles down the road is actually different from mine in that my current piece has an 18-foot garage in the back, and that 18-foot garage was going to be the workshop for whenever Hobo hit the road. I was going to set up all the lasers, the CNC, and put all that in the garage, and have the studio set up in the garage so I could drop the tailgate down, or the patio out the back, and you might see the ocean one week, you might see the mountains one week. Well, that option is gone for quite a while now with everything else I've got going on. So I'm instead of going with 18 foot of unusable space that's just a garage, I'm looking at a unit that is all living space, and yet it's still the same 40 plus feet long. Let me pull it up here just for the heck of it. And shop and solitude and floor plans. There we go. Floor plans. And this is the rear. There it is. Done. All right. So this is the unit that I'm looking at tomorrow. It's a used one. It's not a new one. It's a used one. So this is the living area. These two sleepers, or these two sofas, fold out as two sleeper sofas. That goes upstairs and into the bedroom back here. And there we go. You can see the floor plan. There's the living room. Big, huge bathroom, king bed up here, clothes hampers, washer, dryer, hookup, another TV there, and then a great, big old, huge kitchen. And it's all residential appliances, residential refrigerator, microwave, and stove. Where's the stove at? There it is. Stove's over here. But it's a pretty piece. I like all the light colors. I don't like it being really dark and gloomy. So, but like I said, this one is it's either a 2021 or a 2022. It's 3 or 4 years old. But it's 3 or 4 years old and only used maybe 6 months. And that's what you'll find with most of your RVs. People buy them and they weekend in them. They're weekend warriors. And if they're lucky, they get to use it twice a year. So if it's 4 years old and it's been used twice a year, at maybe 2 weeks at a time, what's that? 4 times 4, maybe 16 weeks or 3 or 4 months worth of use. And then they get put in storage when they're not being used. The other really sad situation that you find a whole lot is a married couple that both retired. Now they're going to take time and go travel. They buy all this, make all these plans, and then one of them gets ill and or passes, and now the other can't do anything with it. And it sits in the driveway for 2 or 3 years until they decide, okay, I'm just going to get rid of it. Let's see. It's this one's nice. It's not what I want, but it's nice. The one I'm looking at is not this big. The one that I want, the one that I was going to drive to Texas for, is only 35 feet long. It's much, much shorter, about 10 feet shorter than this. But it is full residential. And it's got, king bed in it, but the kitchen and living area is squished together really, really tight. But the 35 footer is easier to get in and out of state parks and national parks because most of those were built in the 70s or the 60s. And you didn't have 45-foot long RVs back then. They're set up for 35-foot rigs. Let's see here. I want to get everything. Let's see. What's this? They always ask if you want to keep the old one. They never asked me if I wanted to keep the old one. Yeah, it's like the salvage price, and actually, it's the rooftop ACs. I got 3 rooftop ACs, and those are about $1,300 a piece for the BTUs that I've got. So there's 3 is $950, $200, give or take, and the unit out front needs 2. I doubt I'll be able to use any of the awnings, but this one out here needs new tires, new wheels, and new hubs and drums. I can transfer all of that out there. The hubs and just the tires and wheels that I need out here is another $1,000. So that needs, uh, say three, needs about $4,000 just in ACs and root wheels and tires, plus the other stuff with the hubs and all. And it's about $6,000 worth of stuff that I need just to get that to where it cools and rolls. So it's making this more appealing. And plus, the unit that I have has a generator in it. And thanks to any of you bozos that still live in the state of California, California has ruined just about everything it touches. But thanks to the state of California, you will not find a generator in an RV anymore. California has banned small gasoline engines for folks that don't know this. And since you can't operate gasoline engines, there goes your generators, and the RV manufacturers need to sell their products in California. So they just took them all out, and they're solar prepping everything. But you can't run an air conditioning with solar prep. You can run your refrigerator and a TV, but you're not going to run the air conditioning with solar. So this unit that I'm going to look at tomorrow is prepped for a generator, but it does not have a generator. I've got a generator. A generator, to have one installed in a camper that doesn't have it, that's another $7,000 to $9,000. So there's another 7 to 9 that I can harvest from mine. So it's looking more and more like I'm probably going to keep mine especially if I go with this camper, this RV. Can be gutted and turned into a hobo with wood and wood chips mobile lace road show trailer. The floor in it is terrible. The floor's got you couldn't, yeah, and all the electrical in it have to be redone. It ain't worth trying to save. It can be cannibalized, like I'm discussing. You can cannibalize it, and then you haul it to the salvage yard. The only thing on it that's worth anything is the frame. The steel frame is the only thing that would have any value. And if somebody wanted to build a nice 44-foot fifth wheel trailer, then the frame is the only thing that has any value. And I wouldn't be interested in trying to sell them off myself, but I'll sure cannibalize it. Can you sell them as a package deal to a DIYer? Can you sell them? Sell what? All those things I listed off, I need to keep every bit of that stuff I was listing off. By the time I'm done with it, it ain't gonna be worth anything. Yeah, no, I don't think so, brother. In fact, the one I'm going to look at tomorrow is in storage, and he asked me, he said, "Are you going to be driving your truck?" I said, "Yeah, why?" And he said, "Cause I don't have a truck right now I can pull it out with." So let's see here. Looks better than my house. Yeah, Greg, some of these things are super nice, and I am looking at, because I am living in it. I'm a full time. It is my house. I'm looking at ultra premium product, but I'm looking at used ones. But they are ultra premium. To get the ultra premium in a new one like I want, it still it's brand new, but it's a year old already, and it's all the way down in Texas. Yeah. Let's see here. You know, it's funny, Stacy. Gigi does not like to sit on the couch. She doesn't even really like to snuggle up with me. She has a great big old dog bed that's about the size of that couch, and she'll sit there on her dog bed in front of the fireplace. That's her favorite thing to do. Yeah, it's nice. Grand Design makes some really good stuff. Just sent you an email of a project I spent the last 2 days on designing. All right, I'll take a look at it. Yes, it has. Yeah. California. California. They've ruined everything. It is terrible. So I got the heck out 23 years ago. I left 22 years ago. And that was back when things were probably still halfway decent. But it's a mess now. I won't even drive in there. I won't drive in that state. I've been all up and down Nevada and Utah and all that, but as soon as I see the state line, I turn around. I won't cross. I won't go into California. The RV was manufactured up here by me. Yeah. Uh, Middlebury. I spent quite a bit of time up there. Amish, lots of Amish up there. In fact, a lot of the Amish work in some of those plants. The RVs to a DIYer due to lack of time. Oh, sell the RVs to a DIYer. Yeah, I'm actually still paying for the one out front, the one that Dad was living in that's not livable right now. I still owe on it. I'm still making monthly payments on it, and like an RV, right now I owe what it's worth if it was livable. So right now I can't even sell it for what I owe on it. So anyway, all right. So we went 10 minutes past what I was trying to go for. So I will get this is already up. I'll get the heart box up there for and I may already have a similar box online, but not with this artwork. But I'll have that up soon. And if I don't, you could have the box minus the artwork and just have your coaster holder box. That'll be up this week. But tomorrow I'm spending all day looking at RVs. Monday, I'll probably get that up. Tuesday, I've got doctor's appointments and meeting with the insurance people at 1:00 and having to make a decision. What am I going to do? Am I buying local for a camper that I like, but not what I wanted? Or am I driving to Texas? I don't know. All right. Well, thank you, Bob. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your support. Thank each and every one of my patrons for doing what you do and putting up with this madness as I go into a new chapter. But we'll get it all working. We'll get things ironed out and we'll get everything smoothed out and we'll get back into the groove of things. And again, I thank you for your patience. God bless each and every one of you. And I will see you in the next video.